According to the Cerebral Palsy Alliance, there are approximately 17 million people worldwide with cerebral palsy. Even though this disease is quite common, there is still a negative stigma that surrounds it. Palsy education advocate Justin Malama talks to us in this segment of Unlimited about overcoming obstacles while having cerebral palsy and what it's like to walk a day in his shoes.
I was pretty fortunate, especially throughout my life. The cerebral palsy is a mild case, so I was pretty normal, if you want to use the word normal. I like to use the phrase I could walk both sides of the fence. I was able to understand what society would consider normal, as well as understanding what having cerebral palsy and having the affliction was. When my parents found out that I had cerebral palsy, it was a subtle thing. They noticed, I think it was 6 months after I was 6 months old, that they noticed I favored the right side more than the left. Usually babies are experimenting using both hands. I favored the right more so. So when they had me tested, they were told that I had cerebral palsy. The doctors did a really good job explaining things. So my mom wasn't too panicked. She wasn't too scared. My mom was definitely, both parents were definitely, they were very strong-willed in keeping me as normal as society standards could possibly get. They did give my mom a list of things that I wouldn't be able to do, like riding a bike, roller skating, things like that. And my mom very eagerly would take pictures of me doing the things that they told them that I was not ever going to be able to do, and basically tell them, you know, go ahead and scratch that off the list. It's more about willpower and your own self-confidence. There's a lot of things that people with this disability can do that they're told they're not going to do. So it's really how passionate you are. The physical handicap is not, it's a temporary limitation. I have found ways to work around the limitation, as do many other people with cerebral palsy. There are some extreme cases, but again, there are things that people with cerebral palsy in a wheelchair are a lot better at than I am. So it all depends on their own self-determination. The limitations growing up were a little bit harder for me to adjust to because I was so young. One of the major issues that I had as a child definitely was I had to have a leg brace on the left leg to correct me walking, because I would walk pigeon-toed. Sometimes I would walk on my toes so the heel would never touch the ground. That would later get corrected with surgery. They would do a heel cord lengthening to get me to at least put my heel down, because I would trip and fall continuously. A lot of times, one thing that I dealt with a lot as a kid, and it led to a lot of bullying as a kid, was if I ever strained any muscles, if I tried to lift something with the right arm, the left arm would instantly do something like this. And that was very difficult as a child, to get used to bringing the left hand down and keeping the left hand down whenever I would strain muscles or do something active. If I run, I would run, and as I would go, this arm would come right back up. One of the things that I try to explain to people when they want to understand how my hand works or what I deal with, I try to explain to them if they were to tape their fingers together. So I'll give you an example of that. If you were to take a piece of tape and you were to tape these two fingers, and you took a piece of tape and you taped these two fingers, minus some flexibility, a little bit of flexibility with the fingers. This is pretty much how the left hand would work. It does not have as much dexterity as the right does, so this is pretty much just a claw for me in some way. Regardless of whatever the severity level is of the cerebral palsy, we don't see ourselves as different, especially for me. A good example is I think everybody's left hand works like my left hand because I've had it since day one. I don't know what it's like for it to be different or to work better or worse. So I just assume that everyone else's hand works that way. So it doesn't bother me. I don't feel remorse or anything like that. So for a lot of us, again, I can't speak for everyone, but for a lot of us, this is normal for us. So if you just treat us normal, we don't feel any different. For our normal is your normal. It's all up to the individual. Unless we need assistance, we'll ask for it. But until then, we'll just do it the way we do it. We all do it just a little bit different. Hi, I'm Justin Milano. I have cerebral palsy. I shared my story. How about yours?